Good morning. Welcome to the Chaos Cavern. Chaos Manor was taken. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jerry Purnell, but it's also the Coffee Clutch Collective, Kibbutz, Caffeine Cafe. I don't know. I think maybe I'm stretching it a little too far. Yeah, where the Chaos Monkey lives. So, these Saturday morning streams are awfully early. I should reconsider. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm on a increasingly tighter schedule for getting the adventure game done, and self-imposed deadline of March and Tosh for the beta so I could have people test it and stuff. It looks dark in your dungeon. Yeah, I gotta work on lighting in here. So I've just got this fluorescent lamp and then some overhead lights that really aren't in the right spot. So yeah, it is a little dark in the dungeon. And the natural light that comes through the sliding glass door is obscured by a big comforter hanging over it to try to reduce the amount of cold in here. So it's been rather cold lately, in case you didn't notice. Anyway, so where was I? I was saying, yeah, working on adventure. So I have a kind of a self-imposed directive, whatever, to just not add more features because I'm still fixing bugs. And I had to stop writing the manual because I was making enough changes that it was silly to continue with it. So I got to get back into that. But anyway, long story short, I have gone to a couple of local events. The funny thing is, for lighting, I do have some photography equipment, including reflectors and lights, and I could set them up, but I'd have to take them down every time. So it's not really convenient. I'll have to come up with something better. Maybe I can mount some lighting behind the monitors. So anyway, so I'm trying not to add more features to adventure, but I did manage to go to a couple of events. The Southeastern Michigan Vintage Computer Club meets in Waterford, which is near Detroit. It's about an hour's drive for me, and I've gone to the last two events. They're trying to do them quarterly. Free table, just set up, do whatever you want. Has to be family friendly because of the location and the the clientele they're trying to attract, which is fine. All of the violence in adventure is written, and we all know that words can't hurt people. So, anyway. And I am trying to kind of keep it PG-13. I'm just not sure what PG-13 means anymore. It's not the same thing as it was when I was a kid. Cabbage Patch Dolls were PG-13, I think. Maybe, I don't know, Unicorn Ponies were? I don't know. Been a long time since I had kids. Anyway, a nice young man, 20-something, sat down and poked around in the game because I had it up with the demo version running, and he managed to box himself into a corner. He actually navigated to nowhere and no place, and I was like, oh, that's curious. I didn't think you could do that. Well, what he did was he tried to type in "go home." Not an unreasonable guess at a command. And it just so happens the keyword home is used to indicate what the home location is. So there's a true or false flag. Well, the go command wasn't very smart. It picked up on that field in the record and said, okay, you want to go to home, finger quote, let's take you to true or false or whatever the value was. The location description was empty because that's not a location. Anyway, chaos ensued. He couldn't get out. He couldn't navigate because that location, which doesn't exist, has no pathway out. And I thought, well, that was kind of interesting. You can use one F-bomb. Okay. What about descriptions in text? Because it's a text adventure. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a warning label on the box and say that there's vivid descriptions of violence or something like that. I don't know how vivid they are. Maybe I'll just say descriptions of violence. Contains textual naughtiness. I don't know. Anyway, I'll figure out some language. And it only took him about 15 minutes to do that. And I'm like, darn. And I wrote a blog post about it late at night when I often do that before going to bed. Instead of going to bed and going to sleep like I should, I'll write a post. And it occurred to me that this is exactly why tame suggestive lewd. Tame lewdness. It's exactly why programmers, and I'm painting with a very broad brush here, make terrible quality assurance testers, especially testing their own stuff. You just don't do things that a user would do. I mean, yeah, you can check for border conditions, and this was some sloppy code that I had written early on in the game. E for edgy. So it was early code, and I didn't really check for border conditions. It wasn't checking to see if values were actually returned, so an empty string for a location was accepted as a location. Excuse me. And it was just, early version code, slap it in there, get things going kind of code. And I've been testing this and doing things with it and, writing the manual, but I haven't been really testing border conditions. And, which is sloppy, honestly. So it just emphasizes the point that you need to have people try your code. And, you don't even have to ask them try to break it or do weird things or anything like that. You just need your bog standard user to do what they would do. And this guy being in his 20s, he had never played a text adventure game. So he started out using the drop-down menu. Well, it's not really the pop-up menu for commands, which are all, predefined so that you don't do go home, you just do go north, south, east, west. But then he started using the text command line to type in stuff, and that's where I wasn't really checking border conditions. So anyway, it's a good reminder that if you're going to write stuff, have other people try it and do it early and often. Don't wait until you think it's perfect. And obviously, I don't think this is perfect. Far from it. And I'm glad that I set up a demo at these shows and stuff so I could at least get a little bit of testing. March and Tosh is when I plan on having more formal testing. Anyway, it also exposed another problem I have. The navigation in Adventure is very simple. You just go the 4 cardinal directions. So it's north, south, east, or west. You don't open a door or open a chest. You go north through the door or south or whatever the case may be. It's a little awkward. Um, and I was like, it's version 1 of the game, so what? People get used to it. How do you sign up as to be a tester? You send me a direct message and say you want to be on the quality assurance team. You also get separate credit inside the credits as being a member of the quality assurance team. And I'll have, it'll be testing installation and everything too. So there'll be emulated version. If you've got a Power PC, you could, run it natively if you wanted to. But there'll be installation media, the manuals, and all that. Electronic. It's not going to be the box set. That's between March and Tosh and September for VCF. They'll be working on physical stuff. Anyway, so yeah. It was obvious that north, south, east, west was doable, but it wasn't really going to cut it. And so I bit the bullet, decided to go ahead and do some more function feature development. And it only took a couple of evenings to do. I was surprised because the code is pretty convoluted, but yeah, I was able to get it working. Probably introduced more issues, and testing will show that, but so be it. Send Trina lots of floppies. I was going to send it on 5.5-inch floppies, and you have to use DOS to expand the files and then copy the files from DOS to your Macintosh. What was that compression software for doing multiple floppy file transfers back in the day? I can't remember now. But we used to do that a lot for our sneaker net. Anyway, who do we got in the stream? We have me, as much as me as you can have at 9 a.m. David's Vintage Apple Tech, welcome. And Trina's Technobabble. They and Eric Rangel. You guys are often early arrivers, and thank you for that. Who else do we have? Ron of Ron's Computer Videos. And Fender Sidekick. Rated E for edgy language, yes. Elise. Hello, Elise. Or is it Alyssa? Elise. Please correct me. I am terrible at names. At work, we have a lot of people from India that work with us, and you can just tell they're so used to Americans butchering their names because we don't have the vocal sounds in our language to cover theirs. I've got 100,000 times of respect for people that know more than one language, let alone even knowing your own language very well. And I work with people that know 6 or 7 languages. It's amazing. And whenever I try to say their name, I'm like, please tell me how I should say how to say your name. And they'll go, oh, you can just call me this. And I'm like, I know that they're giving me the anglicized version of their name. And I'm like, well, I really would like to hear your name at least once so that I know what it is. And I'm like, that's great. I'm not sure I heard all the syllables or understood them all, and I'm not even going to try to say them. So fortunately, they provide me with a crutch, which is something I can pronounce. I've got one employee in particular that I'll say her name and I'll say, nope, that's not right. And she'll say, oh, it's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not fine. please say it again, and then I'll go, okay. And it's I get the emphasis on the syllables wrong, and also the cadence and the pronunciation. So I'm like butchering it in every way you possibly can. Who else do we have? I think that's it. Apple 2GS testing as well. there is not going to be an Apple IIgs version of this game, most likely. There's a couple of reasons for that. Yes, there's HyperCard for the 2GS. It is not quite the same, and it's a little more restricted on things, and I am pushing the absolute limits of what I can do with HyperCard natively. There's the main game stack that I've maxed out the code in. Now, I did not. You have 30,000 characters of text for each script, and you can attach scripts to buttons and all sorts of things in there. But I like using the stack script and the card scripts to do most of the work. I don't like burying everything in controls, so I kind of limiting myself there. There is a way that you can import other stacks into your main stack to use their code, and I do that, and it makes debugging a little bit more complicated. Setting breakpoints, you have to use debug checkpoint and stuff like that. But anyway, I work on the code in the main stack, and then I move it to one of these bag hanging off the side of the main stack. There are 6 of them. Thanks, Trina. So there's a lot of code buried in these stacks. I can't really move it to external commands because of the way they work without rewriting everything, and it's not worth doing. So it sucks memory like crazy, and if I tried to migrate this to a 2GS, I'd have to rewrite it. So I'm not going to do that. Other versions of games I do intend to put on a 2GS, but just not this one. I would like to write a slimmed down version of it that actually can perform well on a classic Mac. Right now, you got to have a PowerPC to use this natively. It'll run in 4 meg, barely. But you could go get a cup of coffee. You could make coffee and drink your cup of coffee in between commands. It's that slow. So it's just not going to work that way. Which wasn't my intent. I always try to design these so you can use them on the original hardware. But there's no way it's going to work. Not even on I've tried it on an SE30 with 20 megs of RAM, and it's just too slow. So, which is why most people will probably use the emulated version of it. It runs fine in Mini VMac, and I'm going to wrap the program into Mini VMac and release it so you can download the Windows OS X, Linux versions of it, or you can download the native version of it. The box set is only going to have a reference to where to download it because discs, it would take like 25 discs or 30 discs to do it, so I'm not going to do that. But anyway, enough about that. So getting back to locations, navigating to things, opening objects. I don't really have a way to open an object. You just use an object. You can pick it up. You can put it down. You can attack an NPC with an object, like a weapon. There's food, so you can eat or drink. In fact, you can eat liquids and drink solids because I don't make a distinction for food. So there's that kind of stuff. But as far as directions go, let me switch screens here so you can see that. Why do tablets always... There's no setting for these I've got an old Android tablet. There's no setting in the OS for these to say leave the screen on when it's plugged in. It drives me nuts. So let's go take a look. Here is I don't know, an older version of Adventure from a month ago. And this is the editor for Adventure. And in the editor for locations, you've got, the name of the location, your description. I did some funky coding to say, well, if you got the lamp, the description could be different. If you're in a cave, you don't have a lamp, you can't see anything. And then objects and NPCs that appear. One of the things I added recently was what's the percentage that a random NPC would just show up at a location, and that's what that field is. But above it, you see north, south, east, west, and then where it is on a map. So that was the direction controls, was go north, go south, go east, and go west. Very simple. Actually, if you know there is a Easter egg related to getting lamp. If you know Homestar Runner, and that's all I'll say about the Easter egg. Well, it's not a lamp, it's a flask. So, and this worked. For the most part, it was good enough. Even inside a building, go north and it would take you to the hearth, or go west, it would take you to the bar. Things like that. Doable. Okay. Well, that wasn't good enough. It was a little confusing for people, and, I knew I could do better. So I thought about it for a while before I did anything. No, I don't want to save any changes. So that was the old version. Let's see if running the old version messed up running the current version. I wonder if it modified 847. Nope, it didn't. Good. It runs off the current directory for the most part. So, where did I put the editor? Okay, so we're going to open up the tavern, which is the demo game. And we're going to go to locations. All right, so it's a little different now. You have directions that can take you to any of the locations. And there's a comma separated list of here are the commands you can use to go in the doorway or enter the doorway. You can still just do go and then the destination name, which was something you didn't have before. You had to go north. So the description had to tell you, you see blah, blah, blah to the north, and you would go that way. Now you can just say go direction name, and if you, in the game, and I'll show you in a minute, in the game there's a menu of commands that you can use. It writes out all those so that you can say enter doorway or go into the doorway, that kind of thing. So now we've got this comma separated list. It's not perfect. You still have to say enter doorway or go doorway, go to doorway, things like that. But at least there's more possibilities now. So if you've got a chest, let's see. So this is a location inside a location. So here's the east room. And there's a chest in the east room, and you can open the chest. So now you can type command open chest, and what it does is it actually locates you inside the chest in logically, and in the chest you've got objects and things. If you close the chest, or just close, you go to the east room, so it takes you out of the chest. Is it ideal? Maybe, maybe not. I probably should say closed chest or something like that. Yeah, go to considered harmful. That did occur to me that I was using a command, but there are places where the go to command, if you're not into programming or the history of programming, you probably don't know what the go to command is, but a common term used for early programming languages was spaghetti code, because you didn't always have subroutines or functions that you could call. You just went to a particular line number and it would execute code there. So it was like a jump command in assembly. And go to was the command that was used in BASIC and probably other languages, I don't know. And you could go to a line of code. Well, what happens is that when you're trying to trace your execution, it can turn into spaghetti or a tangled mess of, if you drew a line trying to see what was going on. So that's kind of a there were two camps at one time where goto was considered bad. And there were other people that said there are times and places where goto is useful. And one of them is if you're designing a state machine and you've got, say, a directed graph or even an undirected graph, and you wanted to be able to have conditional node travel along pathways, to different vertices or something like that. Goto would be a very useful way of doing a state engine. And it made sense, and you could read it. It's kind of a limited application of it, though. All right, so enough about this. So we're going to quit that. We're going to go into the demo game, because now I got to rewrite a bunch of stack code. We're going to open the game, open the tavern, and you're on the forest trail. Let's look at the commands. Okay, so, about the game, you can change your name, you can drop things that are in your inventory, the usual stuff. Well, I added some commands. Go back. So this was something I really didn't have to add, but I wanted to. I keep a stack of the locations you visited, and so I can push and pop locations on and off that stack. And if you want to go back, it pops the location off and goes there. So there's always a go back. Go east. In the command here, it says where you're going east to. So to the forest trail. Even if you've never been to that location, it at least give you a hint that there's something there. Otherwise, what you had to do in the past was go north. There's no way north. Go east. There's no way east. Go, just experiment. That would get old and annoying after a while. Where I need to deal with this, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, is if you don't have the lamp and you're in a cave, do I want to tell you the name of the location and which direction it is? Probably not. Maybe I want you to stumble around just trying to find your way if you're in the cave and you don't have the lamp. Anyway, so I'll work that out later. There's help and list your inventory, other commands. So all these are available. You could type them into the command line yourself, or you can pick them from this menu. There's make commands. Whether you can make a longsword or not. So think, games where, what am I thinking of? Fallout, where there's a bench and you can build things. Similar thing. You have to have certain objects to be able to make things. You can't make a longsword. I don't have instructions for how to make a longsword in there. But you can try, and it'll tell you can't do it. Yes, you were likely to be eaten by a grue. Anyway, so you got that. Where am I? Who am I? You can use objects. Yeah. So I'm going to just try go north. Go where? So there is no go north anymore because this location doesn't have a navigation for go north. I don't know if I'm going to have the description and then at the bottom say, just write out from here you can, and then put the commands for navigation. Let's go east. Okay, so now we're on the forest trail. But I was on the forest trail. I may have a bug. probably introduced a new bug. You shouldn't be going to a location that you're at. So I wonder why. Did I goof up the database for that location and put... Oh, I know why. In the demo, I wanted to be able to do, in locations, you can have a direction take you to the same location. So you're always on the forest trail if you go east. That's why that's that way. Go west, we can go to the campsite. So now we're at the campsite. From the campsite, you can go east to the forest trail again. You can go west to the tavern yard. So we're going to go to the tavern yard. And from here, I can go to the trail campsite. I can go to the door of the tavern. I can go to the well. So I can list all the commands, but you can also say, go tavern. And it searches through all the possible locations from the current location you're at and preferences them. It looks for aliases for locations. You don't have to spell out the tavern or the tavern yard. You can just say tavern because that's a word that's in there and it'll pick that. And then if you need to after that, it'll try to look globally through the database and pick up locations. Hello, Bill. Goats. How goes it? Anyway, so this is the recent change to what I'm doing in the game. You know, and you've got your map here. The map needs some code fixing because I have a different data structure now for locations. It doesn't recognize how to figure out where the lines are between the locations right now. It does in the editor. I fixed it in the editor. So let's go look at that really quick. So if we go to the map in the editor, it renders a map. So this is the big map. And because I renamed this the Tavern Yard, it's not the right width for it. I'll have to fix that. Renaming something should recalculate this width, but I must have left the code out. But anyway, you can go from the Tavern Yard, you can go back to the trail campsite, you can go to the tavern door. You can rearrange the map a little bit. It's all just icons that are generated. If I hit option in this, I can edit the icon for it. If I create new icons, it's got a script that recognizes that you've edited and will ask you to, if you want to have it, to move the icons over to the game stack, things like that. So I wonder if you can access the icons of a stack if you include that stack in your stack. Because I don't want to go there. I could include the editor stack in the game stack, and then it would reference the icons without having to copy them, maybe? I don't know. Something to play around with later. So, that's the recent change for the game. It's just how you handle locations. Oh yeah, see here it's saying, no, I didn't edit any icons. I think it was worth the improvement. Yeah, I am trying to avoid adding extra code, Bill Goats, and features, but I did run into something that was kind of a problem and had to do it. 70-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah. And it's probably kind of dark too, I imagine. What's your daylight hours now there? So, Um, that's really all I had for today. I don't have a lot. Hello, Mr. Gutbomb. Um, but yeah, if you are interested in beta testing, send me a direct message. Might be helpful if you told me what platform you want to do it on. Although I have to get them all ready. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. If you start using another stack, does it include access to the icons? I want to test that and see, because I've got code that transfers the icons using an external command. And there are other reasons why I don't want to include that code, because I've got I'm probably got custom versions of the same named handlers and stuff, and I don't want to mix them up. The TRS-80 version, yes, you can, as soon as you write one. But that does bring up a good point. I've got a 2GS. I'd like to do some kind of adventure game on a 2GS, whether it's this or not. Might not be a text adventure. I want to do an Apple II version of the game, because I've got an Apple II to program on. I'd like to... I don't have a TRS-80. I have a TRS-80 Model 1 200. I could write it for that, actually. But not a TRS-80, like your trash 80. Anyway, I've got a Commodore 64. So I could write a version for that. It'd be kind of fun to do cross-platform versions of the game. But, yeah. And a native Pascal or C version for the Macintosh instead of HyperCard. Did I say I was going to program in something other than HyperCard on a Mac? Yeah. But yeah, I'd like to do some other versions of games. I did start playing around on that 486 laptop with Turbo C. There's a guy who has it's not a tutorial for Turbo C, but it's this is how you could do an adventure game in C, and he kind of, because there's plenty of tutorials on how to program in C, he wanted to have a real life example of something that you could work on. Real Basic. Could do it in Real Basic, although I'm not sure I want to learn Real Basic. I hear it's very performant, but I've got Visual Basic 3 and 1 installed on that 486 because I got Windows 3.1 on it. I could do a version for the DOS text block version of Visual Basic. That'd be kind of funky. So, I don't what? Go, Mom. It's garbage. Real Basic is garbage? Oh, okay. But there are some other programming environments that'd be kind of fun to play around with. Yeah. So, Marcintosh, beta testing. Hopefully. Might be the end of Marcintosh. It's already the end of January. But it will be in March. It has to be. One of the reasons why I haven't been jumping onto video chat or anything like that lately is that I've been mostly spending my time focused on coding. And then between Marcintosh and VCF Midwest, I will be working on box sets, box design, manual printing, 3D printing of little fun things that can go in the box. Things like that. Yeah, I never messed with DOS VB. VB3 was the first version I ever used. So, interesting programming environment. I did pull it up and just kind of play around with it. I did Hello World in it. It's different. So, I guess I'm going to wrap it up. If you want to, I'm offering that people can immortalize themselves in the credits of the game by, you could send me a single dollar. You could go to coffee and throw me a bone, and that's enough to get your name in the game, in the credits. You could also subscribe to my coffee if you wanted to, and do that. I do try to blog there quite a bit. I have a website, ericsedge.com, and it's got the old copy of my website there, but I'm trying to work on a CMS tool I could use for updating that. I thought about writing a hypercard stack that would do it, and then I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. There's other tools out there. I'm going to, what was I going to say? Oh, so you can do that. I still have a Patreon. Not really doing much in Patreon anymore. I'd rather use coffee, because coffee doesn't take a big cut out of what you contribute. So I've got a t-shirt store. Well, it's not just t-shirts, obviously. You can get you can't get throw rugs. Maybe you can get a rug. I don't know. Yeah, I know you can get shower curtains and all sorts of stuff. Trina has asked me, because I blurted out, gee, I wish I had some Macintosh pajamas. What I really want is, I want Kate to make a set of pajamas with Mackie and his friends on the pajamas, just randomly floating around on them. I think that would be fun. I'd buy a set of, I don't wear pajamas, but I'd buy a set of pajamas if there was some Mackie ones. That would be cool. Gutbomb. My dad and I wrote a game in DOS VB based on the Sting song, Demolition Man. Interesting. Socks. Yeah, socks would be cool. Do they have socks at Threadless? I know that, yeah, I don't know. Do they have socks? That'd be cool too. Anyway, so, oh God, I could do Eric's Edge socks with my face on them? No, that would just be wrong. Let's see, coffee, Patreon, credit in the game. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Oh, and if you want stickers, I've got stickers too. I've got the classic, let me switch screens here. So, come on. So I've got your classic Eric's Edge sticker, for scaring small children and rodents. Where's the box with stickers? You don't even have to send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, as they used to say. I'll just mail it to you. I also have international stickers. So, and then there's the, can't really see it very well. This is the, from the cover art for the box set. Focus. It's a little dark. Oops. So that's got the Quack of Dawn duck on it. And then I have these. This is Bill Atkinson, or at least half of Bill Atkinson, and I know HyperCard. So if you want to be one of the beautiful smart people, show off your knowledge of HyperCard, you can. So just direct message me and I'll send you stickers. That's it. You would wear socks. Okay, I'll have to look and see if Threadless has socks. Maybe I'll do a version that's got the duck on it. So, hey Steve. I was just wrapping up. You're just in time. I hope you got your car going. Sounds like somebody's grinding coffee. I could always use more coffee. Anyway. That's it for today. I think Big Bad Biologist is going to be live streaming at noon. I don't know if Amber's live streaming later. And of course, Dave, I imagine, is live streaming tomorrow. I can't imagine him not live streaming on Sunday. It does happen, but rarely that he doesn't live stream. Yeah. All right. Make sure you get caffeinated if that's your drug of choice. And I will see you later. And there's a button here for the outro. Where is it? Bye.